Hi. Renee, your professional engineer / recreational circus artist / breast cancer survivor, I guess that's the word, beaming into you on a late Sunday morning. I should have been finishing up my aerial cube practice, but I'm Canadian and there was a very big hockey game on this morning. We did not win the gold medal, but it was an incredible game. The US goalie was off the hook. And it was super close. Anyways, I was watching a hockey game. I almost never watch hockey games, but that one had to be watched. And now I'm just going to record this because where are we? We are at week 10 and a half since I had my my double mastectomy to flat. See, no curves anymore up top. So double mastectomy to flat. Yesterday, my husband and I went rock climbing, and earlier this week I also had an aerial silks class. To be perfectly honest, my range of motion is fantastic. I couldn't be more thrilled with how my recovery is going. I haven't pushed any back bending type positions because that would sort of stretch the scars out, but that's on the list for the upcoming week, since I actually do have a performance with this guy that I'm going to be doing on March 15th in Oshawa, Ontario. So that's something that's going to be happening soon. What you're seeing behind me actually is normally sold as hockey equipment, but will be part of the costume that I'm putting together. So I'm very excited about that. Oh, I can hear Mr. Bill coming in for a quick hello. Hi, buddy. But what I wanted to mostly talk about today isn't really about the physical recovery aspect of breast cancer, but the really interesting response that I seem to be having in my head about imposter syndrome. Fortunately, this will probably come up tomorrow. I'm actually starting a therapy group that is happening through the Wellspring organization. It's going to be once a week for the next 6 weeks. I did a session earlier when I was first diagnosed with this recurrence, and I did a therapy session group through Gilda's Club after my first diagnosis and lumpectomy. And one of the things that came up for me during the first therapy session was I constantly felt this need to apologize to the other people in my therapy group because my cancer wasn't as advanced as any of theirs. This is the incredible thing about early detection and the fact that my cancer was discovered during just a screening mammogram. They caught it at the absolute earliest stage that they're capable of catching it, which meant that the first time around I had a lumpectomy, but I didn't have to have chemo. And yes, I had radiation. So I had a lumpectomy and I had radiation therapy. My radiation was literally only 5 sessions. The lumpectomy left me with my breasts more or less looking pretty much what they did going into the surgery. There was, they only had to scoop out a fairly small amount because it was caught so incredibly early. And so I remember being in that therapy session and just, feeling like an imposter, like I didn't have the right to complain or have strong feelings, because I was also, having very strong feelings in recognizing just how spectacularly fortunate I was and how very lucky I was to have caught it early. But that doesn't discount the fact that I still had to go through surgery. I still had to worry about what was going to happen, because when they first caught it, I mean, we didn't know for sure that that's what was going to be the outcome. And then again, 2 years later, when they re-diagnosed me with pretty much the exact same thing at the exact same stage, yes, I had a bigger surgery this time, because, when you've had cancer twice, the doctors aren't trying to talk you out of, having a full mastectomy. I was like, I would prefer not to give this cancer a chance to come back for a third time, because one of the things that I fully recognize at this stage is that, now that I have had a full mastectomy, if my cancer comes back, it's going to be really bad. I don't have the parts anymore for them to catch it at the really early stage. So if I ever get it again, it's going to be somewhere that makes it really bad. So I fully recognize that. But, second time around, I dodged a bullet. Yes, I had a full mastectomy. I am now, recovering from a very major surgery. I'm going to be living the rest of my life in a body that is very different from the one that I expected to be living in my 50s and 60s and onward. So that takes a psychological adjustment. There's a psychological adjustment from a sexuality standpoint. Like I said, my body is significantly different in that particular respect, and that, does a number on your head. But that aside, they caught it really early, which means, yes, I had a very significant surgery, but once again, no chemo. This time around, no radiation, because they don't do radiation twice unless there's an exceptionally good reason, as some of my more stressed out videos a few weeks back can attest to. And the other funny one is that because they caught it so early, and because of the way the healthcare system works here in Canada, or at least at the cancer center where I'm at, I have not been tested for whether or not I'm estrogen receptor positive, because they are not going to recommend aromatase inhibitors or other cancer prevention drugs, which is really quite interesting, because, yes, I am indeed worried about the cancer coming back. I don't think that worry is ever going to go away in my head. But I also know from all of the research that I've done that these cancer prevention drugs, these aromatase inhibitors and tamoxifen, letrozole, and anastrozole, I think is one of the other. There's a suite of them, and they all have some potentially very major side effects. Some of them, are recognized as causing noticeable bone loss, which, as a menopausal age woman, is a really big deal. Bone health is pretty important. Many of them have emotional and mental health effects, and a lot of these side effects, they don't know who is and is not going to have these side effects. So people are dealing with some real serious life and mental health issues post-cancer, on top of just the general purpose worry of recurrence and the physical aspects of such a changing body. And of course, there's absolutely no denying that chemotherapy saves lives, but it also does a real number systemically and leaves people with a lot of lifelong chronic issues. So I feel like that's not talked about very much, because cancer survivors are, we're so effing thankful to be alive, yes, but part of being alive means being in a position to enjoy your life. And so I don't know how I feel. Well, I don't know how I feel. I have such mixed feelings, such thankfulness, and such imposter syndrome, because apart from not having any breasts anymore, I don't look like I'm going to be moving forward with any of the other systemic chronic side effects that come from cancer treatment. And for that, I am, spectacularly thankful, but also feeling like, why me? How did I get to dodge this bullet? And so many other people don't. So massive imposter syndrome, despite having cancer literally twice in my life. But maybe it also means, that I can use this this energy or this outcome to, make the point that, early detection, when they can catch it early, can have some really, really big benefits. So if there's anybody that might ever see this particular video, or be putting off having a mammogram because they're simply scared of what the outcome could be or what the results could be, please know that getting that mammogram as early and as often as you can increases the chances. Because nothing's going to make the cancer be there or not be there. Wishful thinking isn't going to make a difference either way, but early detection will make a difference, or can make a difference. There are lots of people in this world who get their mammograms early and do all the right things, and still they don't catch it until it's more advanced. But there's another group of people that have that opportunity by not putting these tests off to potentially catch it at the stage that they've caught mine, not once, but literally twice. And I'm going to shout that from the rooftops as much as I can, despite the imposter syndrome, because I can see and recognize just how damn lucky I am. And it really is just pure luck. It's not because I did anything right, apart from go to my mammogram test. The doctors and the screening technicians and all of those people did the actual work. I just had to show up for the appointment. And so I really want to say that. I want to use my imposter syndrome to try and get that message out, that, I want other people to potentially be as lucky and as fortunate as I am. And for those who aren't as insanely lucky as I've been, I also want to get the word out that, cancer treatment, from the very earliest stage with the very smallest amount of treatment to, the stage 4, to anybody in between, you still had cancer. You still have cancer. We all have that worry about it coming back. It doesn't matter what stage they catch it at. That one, the mental side effects. But know that if you have loved ones that have actually gone through the full suite of cancer treatment, yes, they are alive, and I have no doubt that they are spectacularly thankful to be so. But they also might be dealing with some very, very difficult chronic side effects that come with the treatments, that come with the cancer prevention drugs, that come with the chemotherapy, that come with the radiation, in addition to the actual, surgery effects. All of these things really can't be underemphasized. And that's why I am spectacularly thankful. But yes, as I think I've used the word enough times, imposter syndrome is something that I'm definitely facing. Fortunately, like I said, therapy group tomorrow, so I'll definitely be talking with the other people about that as I go through the therapy process. But wanted to check in. I'm going to be putting this on later this afternoon, and then getting started on my routine and my full costume, because just a couple more weeks until my very first public performance since my surgery. It's a little bit terrifying, a little bit exciting, but I'm sure it's going to be good. I I hope you're having a good day. I hope you had a good weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.